A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am very glad to welcome all of you to the 39th session BA History program, second semester. I am Sudhaji, Assistant Professor, Department of History, GFGC, Ripanpet. Before beginning the discussion, let me ask you a question. In order to maintain a smooth functioning of agriculture and industrial sector, government has to invest huge amount for the development of overhead capitals like energy, power, transport, communication, education, health and housing, etc. Do you agree with me? To carry on all these functions, government needs money, right? Which is the source of income to the government? You are absolutely right, it is revenue. Let us in this session learn about the revenue administration of Mughals. Students have learned about the central and provincial administration of the Mughals. They have also compared and contrast their administration with the present day administrative system of India. Learning objectives of the session to enable the students to know about the features of revenue administration of Mughals. Learning outcome. At the end of the session, students will identify the revenue minister of Akbar. They will recall the classifications of land based on fertility. They will locate the places where different types of revenue administration prevailed on the outline map of India. Let us start with introduction. The primary source of income of the Mughals were land revenue. Land revenue was charged on the basis of the government records. 1/5 of the part of the loot in the war was also one of the source of their income. Trade tax, mint, local taxes called abwabs, unclaimed property, salt tax was also levied, custom duties from 2.5 to 5%, and ports also brought it in a lot of revenue from this source. In addition to that, income from state industries, annual tributes and presents from feudatories, kings and mansabdars. Before moving to the next clipping, let me compare the today's sources of income to the Indian government. 5 major sources of revenue for the government of India are union excise duties, customs, income tax, corporation tax, wealth tax, gift tax, capital gains, hotel expenditure tax. Among all these taxes, personal income tax and corporate taxes are the biggest revenue for the Indian government. Let us move on to know about land revenue. Land revenue was the largest source of income of the state. Akbar was the first to establish sound revenue administration. He evolved the Hassala system called Zapta or Zapti system with the help of his revenue minister Raja Todarmal. The land revenue was brought into existence in 1580 by the Ain-e-Hassala ordinance implied certain fixed process. Historian V. Smith calls the Hassala system as 10 years settlement and seems to think that it was based on the average produce of the past 10 years, whereas W. H. Moreland refers this Hassala system to the average of 10 years cash demands only and makes no mention of 10 years average produce of each kind of land in respect of each crop. The Hassala system is neither permanent nor was it annual. The state demand seems to have been revised periodically on the basis of the actual produce of the soil. The work of the revenue collection was entrusted to government officials called Amil or Amalguzar. They were assisted by Kunungos, Patwaris, and village headmen. Let's move on to know about Diwans of Akbar. During the period of Akbar, many Diwans assisted him to carry on his revenue administration. Among them, important were Abdul Mazid Asaf Khan, who was in power of Diwan in the year 1560 AD, Ahmad Khan, he was in 1563 AD, Muzaffar Khan in 1564 AD, Shihab Uddin 1568 AD, and Muzaffar Khan 1570 AD. These were the Diwans who rendered service under Akbar's reign as a revenue ministers. Now let us move on to know the features of the Hassala system. Instead of a hempen rope, the land was measured by bamboos which were joined together by iron rings. One unit of land was called biga, which was 60 into 60 yard into, that is 3600 square yards. Gaz-e-Sikandari was used the measurement, but later Ghazi-Ilahi was introduced. The state demand was one-third of the average produce of the land. The cultivators were asked to pay the revenue in cash. Classification of land. Polaj, it was a cultivated land every year. Paraute was left uncultivated for 1 or 2 years. Chachar was left uncultivated for 3 or 4 years. Banjar, it was left uncultivated for 5 years. Besides these, each of the first 3 kinds of land was divided into 3 grades, namely best, middling, and bad. The average yield per biga of each kind of land in respect of every crop was ascertained separately in every pargana on the basis of past 10 years production. The officers maintained annual account of the area and quality of land, its produce, kind of produce, providing prices of all cereals in every dastur. The revenue and the prices of cereals were fixed up for 10 years. The Jagirdari land was brought under this system, though its income went to the concerned Jagirdars. Akbar accepted the cultivators as owners of the lands, and the state kept direct contact with them. The cultivators were given clear pattas by the state on which their quality and quantity of land and revenue was recorded. The cultivators are encouraged for better production and were helped in case of emergencies. Patwaris and Mukaddams helped the state to assess and collect revenue and maintain records. Now, different types of revenue system which were practiced during the Mughals period across the country. The Hassala system, it was practiced in the parts of Bihar, Allahabad, Malwa, Awadh, Delhi, Agra, Lahore, and Multan. Concord system was practiced in the parts of Bengal, Gujarat, and Kathiawar, whereas Bantai system was practiced in the parts of Kandahar, Kashmir, Sindh, and Multan. As a part of your assignment, you can locate these places on the outline map of India. Now, let us learn about the reasons for the success of the revenue system. Peasants were free to keep the excess produce. If they paid the fixed revenue for 10 years, the state helped them in case of natural calamities. All Jagiri land was also under the control of state officials. There was no middlemen like landlords to exploit them. And similarly, it helped in the growth of trade and industries. As a conclusion, we can say that though it is said that the revenue officers were corrupt and Akbar could not save the cultivators from their operation, historians like V.S. Smith praised the revenue administration of the Mughals. Why? Because, as per the Europeans' view, that the incidence of land tax was higher under Akbar than under the British. It should be noted that he did not recognize the existence of landlords and that the produce of the soil was shared between the government and the cultivators. Under the zamindari system, during the British rule, zamindars charged half of the produce from the cultivators, while in the 16th century, peasantry had to pay one third of its production. Tradition and evidence confirms the opinion that the peasants were better off under Akbar than at the time under the British rule in India. Hence, historians like V.S. Smith praised his administrative system of revenue. Lane Poole also said that there is no name in medieval history more pronounced in India to present day than that of Raja Todarmal. Before the end of the session, let us have a quick recapitulation of the today's topic. Land revenue, the largest source of income of the state. Divans of Akbar. Features of the Hassala system. Classification of land. Different types of revenue system. Reasons for the success of the revenue administration. As a part of your assignment, you can write a note about the features of the Hassala system practiced during the Mughal period. To prepare my talk, the books which I have referred are Medieval History of India by J.C. Agarwal, History of Medieval India by L.P. Sharma, Advanced Study in the History of Medieval India by J.L. Mehta. Though it is monotonous because of explanation alone, still I hope you would have got information about the Hassala system of Mughals. Thank you one and all.